Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Today we have CancerMoonCleric, aka Jen, and we're going to get into characters, backstory, and really most importantly, how do you get dungeon masters, game masters, and the players truly in sync for a great experience. Jen, thank you so much for coming. Go.
Thanks
Could
for
you
having
could you
me.
actually
Yeah.
introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Jen, CancerMoonCleric. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I'm working on the whole Twitch thing. I'm main cast for the Untold Archives actual play, and I have a bunch of random, guest features and other things like that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I love talking D&D.
Thank you. Great. Let's start at the beginning. How did you first get into the game in the first place?
So I am a fairly new player. I would say maybe about 2 years now. I used to make Harry Potter content, and we have long since learned that you can't separate the art from the artist, especially when they are so problematic to people that we love in this community so much.
Mm.
But along the way, I made some great friends, and one of them introduced me to D&D and asked if I wanted to play, and we did, and it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, but it intrigued me, because we started at level 7,
Right.
and we were all sorcerers,
Oh.
and looking back on it now, what I realized is because there were 3 brand new players, never played before, and 2 veterans. The veterans have been playing for so long that they forgot what it was like to be a new player. And so their answer essentially was, let me just create your character sheet for you. And I'm like, no, I want to learn. And so it was quite, I didn't understand role play
Mm,
until well after that game concluded
mm.
because it wasn't in the cards. And so um, that's essentially how we got started. And I haven't looked back.
That's great. So when did you make the switch to becoming a dungeon master?
It was I'm not gonna lie, it was really early on. It was a
Mm,
hyperfixation of mine. I dove headfirst. I was going through some stuff in my personal life, trying to I was transitioning out of the military, coming to civilian life. Home life was crazy, and it was my in real life escapism. And so I saw how the first campaign went. It was supposed to be a Harry Potter themed campaign. That's how they got
mm,
me. And it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, and so it was like, well, if I wanna be in these worlds, I have to make them. And
mm.
so I started to write my first campaign, and I had my friends play, and it was such a learning experience. I made so many mistakes, but that campaign now has gone through such an evolution, and I'm actually going to be running that as the next DM for our actual play coming up in a couple weeks. So in that span of time, that's where we are.
Yeah, Untold Archives is the name of the
Untold
AP, or
Archives. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Please check it out. We'll have links up
Yes.
for that as well because I've watched a few episodes and it's a lot of fun.
It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. So okay, so you said you made some mistakes along the way.
Yes.
What are they?
Oh, goodness. Over planning was a huge one.
Yeah.
Under planning was another one. Um, I had to learn about balancing by gift giving is one of my love languages, so, like, giving my players too many things,
Mm,
and that first one was really the reason that first campaign ended before it concluded was because, it was quite a traumatic campaign. It was based on, like, Greek heroes, so Greek heroes, you have to have
mm,
Greek tragedies, and
right.
I thought I was being thorough with my session 0 and letting my players know that, "Hey, I'm gonna traumatize your character. I'm going to intentionally make it hurt. Please don't choose something that is going to trigger you." And we went through our session 0, and everything was said and done, and we started playing, and a situation came up, and the player had lost his mother
Mm,
very, very recently, like a year or 2 ago. And I was like, "Hey, I can change this." He's like, "No, it's gonna be good to process." And it wasn't.
mm,
And so there was a lot of bleeds. I should have seen the signs. I should have known, that
mm,
maybe we need to pivot.
mm,
So definitely a lot of mistakes. I'm not even talking mechanically. I'm not even talking like rule wise. I'm talking just like overall experience wise. Things that I've
mm,
had to change.
right. So yeah, this it's an interesting perspective to hear this. Like we were talking a little bit earlier
Mhm.
before. I come from the very early days,
Right.
where you didn't really have any kind of character, you didn't have any backstory. It was just the dungeon master. You've got your character sheet. You had a backup character sheet for when you died. You didn't really even have like a name. They would
That's
tear up your
crazy.
character sheet in front of you when you died. Like there, you didn't have. But
Gosh.
you know, the thing is, you didn't have any. You didn't have any attachment. It was just you, and you were
Mhm.
sort of thinking about the combat mechanics and like not getting
Yeah.
eaten by a mimic, and can I get treasure and can I survive?
Yeah.
And that's one style of play. And I know that there's, what I think they're calling it the old school revival, where they're kind of going back. Some people are still really into that. I'm not. I much prefer the way we are now with
Yeah.
character backstory. But the other side of that is being a character is an emotionally intense experience,
Mhm.
and you have to treat that with care.
You
And
do.
I really appreciate, after watching a lot of your videos, that it's very clear that that's at the top of your mind.
Yeah.
So I wonder, so you talked about session zero a little bit. I wonder
Yeah.
if you could kind of walk us through, like, what's your session zero process these days?
Mhm.
What are questions you ask? How do you kind of coax out a great character? How do you
Yeah.
make sure that they stay safe in the upcoming campaign?
Absolutely. So one of the things we do in session zeros is I make very clear what this campaign is about. I make it very, very upfront. Especially the one that I run before. It's a Percy Jackson themed one. YA fandom is kind of my niche. And
Cool.
again, Greek heroes, you have to have Greek tragedy. And so I've learned from my past mistakes about traumas and triggers. And I ask my players that we have to proceed with caution in these because bleeds will happen because of the way that I effectively play and the way that I invite my players to play. And we open up and we genuinely like weave this story together with them adding and with me adding. And I make sure that I always, hey, can I take liberties with this? I see a potential in this backstory. Can I maybe and I always ask for consent. So making sure we have clear intentions up front about what the expectations are and what the boundaries are.
Mm,
um, I always in every Discord channel, every game that I have, there's a go and no go channel that's all it is, and it's live. I tell them you can add to that at any point because if we're talking right now, there might be something that comes up that you didn't realize triggered you. So what? Are you never allowed to bring it up? Absolutely not. You put it in
mm,
there.
yeah.
And I also do the red card, yellow card system. Call out, hey, Jen, yellow. Okay, we're approaching a topic that could it's bringing some emotions. We're okay. Let's skirt around it. Jen, red. Stop, skirt, everything stops. Everybody pauses. Are you okay? Do we need to step out? And so letting them know that this is how I'm going to treat each and every session, each and every player, giving them open access to me, especially my paid games, to reach out to me at any point. I have a very dedicated Discord server specifically for them, where they have access to me every
Mm,
day for questions and things, and making sure that we know the way that we play. I don't have any of the isms. Why do we need sexism? Why do we need racism? Why do we need,
mm,
any of that to tell a good story? If you need to convey that message, the feeling that you get from that message, just find a different way to do it. Let me
right.
help you. Let's be
Mm,
creative about it. We don't have to go that route because it already exists in our world. So
mm,
why are we going to make that here? Let's make
right.
something different. If you need to work, this is not everybody needs to be clear. D&D is not therapy, but it could have very therapeutic outcomes when you approach it with caution and care and love and you manage those expectations because I know it's done that for me. And so I think
Mm,
having those expectations up front, telling everybody that we're in this together, really has helped set the tone for my games, I think.
mm. That's an amazing point. So one takeaway that I think is really important is, yeah, you can have a session zero, but it's an evolving process. You cannot make a checklist for absolutely everything that's ever going to
No.
come up. It's impossible.
Mhm.
It's not how it works. So having that constant dialogue, and the go no go is brilliant, because it'll handle that in a really
Mhm.
safe way. And I think any dungeon master, game master who is considered, not just D&D, any game you play,
Yeah.
when you have people at the table, you're all different.
Yes.
And but you're all there for the same reason, which is
Correct.
essentially exactly what you said, is to fantasy, to fantasize,
Exactly.
even if it's a sci-fi setting. It's about escaping and exploring
Exactly.
another part of yourself. The other thing that you just really said that really resonated with me is that D&D is not for therapy. You can have it can be a relief for
Yeah.
sure, and it can be a relief. But I think for me personally, the it had been for a long time. It had been a relief, only a relief, and then I started using it though as kind of a self exploration to notice things
Mm,
about myself. One
mhm.
of the things that I noticed is I'm a pretty easygoing person, and I get along with everybody and blah blah blah. However, all my characters were like barbarians and like rage.
Oh,
Like there was a lot of like unresolved rage in me,
yes.
and I
Yes.
don't think it without TTRPGs, I would have noticed that about myself. And once I
Mhm.
notice it, it doesn't mean you keep playing barbarians or whatever. You can if you want, but that's
Yeah.
not the point. The point
Yeah.
is that now you've noticed something about yourself, and that's
Yes.
one of the, in addition to all the other benefits of playing TTRPGs, self exploration is absolutely one of them. Whether it's your emotions, your
Mhm.
background, all these other things, it can be really powerful. But you just have to make sure that the dungeon master is sensitive to it. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's really
Yes.
great.
Absolutely. I love that so much. I love that you learned that about yourself. Isn't it crazy? Like what
Yeah,
role play, like when people say, "Oh, these are kid games," no, there's a reason that this resonates with kids, but it should resonate with adults too because we never stop learning and we learn through play.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Not to get too social commentary, but I don't think it's a coincidence that in this modern day and age we've sort of outsourced our entertainment to
Mhm.
mass corporations, right? Like
Mhm.
we what do you when you want a story, you watch TV, you watch
Right.
Netflix, you watch a movie made by someone else. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that there is this massive surge of people who
Mhm.
are wanting to play TTRPGs because it is a
Yep.
communal bonding social storytelling experience, which is
Yeah.
what we did before industrialization. We
Oh
would
my
sit
god.
around together and tell stories to each other, even as adults.
I just got
Even the
goosebumps.
oldest of us
I just got
were.
goosebumps. That is so insightful. Holy
Oh, thank you.
cow. That's really really though, like, I never thought of it that way. That was beautiful. Like, you have to put you make that a shirt or something. Like, that's such a
That
legit thought. Like, that's what we
was what
did
we did, right?
to
We
pass
sat
the
around
time.
fires.
Yeah.
That's why I have this fire here. Like,
Aw. I love that. That's so cool. What a cool idea that I'm gonna think about this for days now. You have to
oh,
realize.
cool.
I'm gonna be
Oh,
like,
thank
"Oh,
you.
wow, we're going back to our roots." That's how we shared stories. That's how we passed down our history. That's how we, communicate. Like that's such a really I like that.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I've been, to be honest, I didn't really until I started doing these interviews.
Mhm.
That thought didn't even occur to me. It was just over the course of talking to all these experienced dungeon masters, having these experiences, and having these different perspective on
Mhm.
things. It just really got me in the mindset of really analyzing what this phenomenon is and what has come. And it's fascinating. Like we can talk about D and D, DM tips all day, but there's actually something bigger going on. I think
Huge.
all around it,
Exactly.
huge.
I love that.
So, and I think just in the last interview I was telling, I feel like if every single person in the world played TTRPGs, the world would actually be a much better place.
I really hope so, but we were talking before about, some of the engagement that I get on my social
Yeah,
media about
yeah, let's get
you
into that.
know some of these topics, and I think, yes, I think absolutely we could, but I think there's just some people who will not be moved. I think
Right.
there are some people who use this for something that it shouldn't be. I think there are some people who are missing things in their life and they find a way to substitute that through here, but not for the right reasons. Like I noticed that when I was in the military, I could always tell when I was dealing with a certain kind of person what their home life was because of the
Mm,
way they treated their subordinates or the way that they
mm,
treated women or things like that. And
mm,
I sense that here. And I am so lucky to say that I have never been at one of those nightmare tables. As much
mm,
D&D as I've played, I guess I just attract the right people, of
mm.
like-minded people to be like, I've never had DM horror stories. I've never had player horror stories like that. you know?
Mm,
And so I've been so lucky, but, um, I think, yes, the majority of people can disagree with certain things and still enjoy it, but I think
mm,
there are bad people who play
mm,
TTRPGs and just want to abuse power and make people
yeah.
feel uncomfortable under the guise of role play, and it's
How do
weird.
you do you have any advice about cultivating a group of players that you like? So there's kind of two facets of it, right?
Mhm,
There's the kind of casual where you're running a paid session. And so I think it maybe is a little bit easier because you can
mhm,
just tell someone, I don't want you to be on this table anymore. um, in a in a nice way, or not a nice way, depending on
mhm,
what the situation is. Doesn't really matter. But then you have the situation where you are getting paid to do this,
mhm,
and you might have someone that you just don't jive with.
mhm.
What did you have any advice for handling that situation?
The great thing about paid games is that there is a finality to them. Like if they are going to
Mm,
be finalized, like players come into this with expectation of, 12, 14, whatever sessions, that this is not going to be a lifelong campaign, that there is going to be a conclusion. And I hang on to that. I hang
mm,
on to the fact that while this person and I are not getting along, they are not technically breaking any of the rules I've set for the server, and they're technically not being offensive. You're just not a person that I'm getting along with. You're still paying me for a service. I'm going to provide you that service.
mm.
And eventually that service will come to an end and we will part ways. And I will let you know that, thank you so much. But this isn't going to work. And I think they would feel the same way. Um, and so just keeping it in mind, if you are doing this, getting paid to do this, it is a job and you have to treat it as such. But
Mm,
always ensure that you have that end date set so
mm,
that if situations do come up, that we don't have to have those situations because now, I'm losing clientele, I'm losing revenue just
mhm.
because I don't like somebody.
Do you have situations where there's a player at the table, you've got 6, 7 sessions left, and for me, the players who their first reaction, they don't quite get that they're uh either they don't buy into the premise, even though that
Mhm,
they said they have. And they will do things like they'll just like they don't like an end way an NPC is talking to them, so they fireball them in the face.
mhm,
Like that kind of player, like it'll come out later, and they've been sort of hiding it for a while.
mhm.
How do you like, is there a way you can like get them back on track even though you know that they're going to be there for another 6, 7, or have you even had that happen, I wonder? Um,
Um, for situations like that, I think the biggest difficult situation I've faced is having players not get along with one another,
mm,
in real life.
mm,
Um, and it is such a strange dynamic because I'm not anybody's parents. And I see these people, once every other week because that's how I run my games is once every other week. And again, there's no rules that have been technically broken. Nobody's been technically like offensive or, exhibited any of those no-goes. But I am a very direct person, and so I will talk to somebody, let them hear
mm,
them out. Um, and at the end of the day, I'm not gonna beg anybody to stay.
mm,
If you wanna be here, be here. And if not, not. But I will make sure that everybody's okay, especially if the
mm,
other person I feel like is being targeted or being
mm,
treated unfairly. I will
mm,
have options. Hey, do you wanna switch games? I'll put you in a
mm.
different game. Um,
Yeah, there you go.
right? And so
That's
I
probably the best one.
I offer solutions to try and keep everybody happy in the most professional way that I can. And I feel like one of my weaknesses is I can't really hide my feelings.
Mm.
I am a Cancer moon. I feel deep and I feel all the time.
Not a
And
weakness
it's
at all.
it's one of those that it's like when you have to toe that line of neutrality, I feel
Mm,
like I never can because I feel like there's somebody's right and somebody's wrong for the
mm,
most part, not every
mm,
situation. And so luckily I haven't had any crazy dynamics like that. But if it were to happen, um, there will be consequences. You want to
mm.
fireball this person in the face, then I am God. I will come at you in an unbelievable way that there's nothing you can defend. I don't care if you rolled a nat 20.
Right,
Sorry, that doesn't work here.
right. Yeah, I mean, nat 20s don't mean like you can do the impossible, right?
Correct.
Like it's just
Like This isn't combat. Like,
It's not
this is
combat.
role play,
Yeah.
and that 20 doesn't mean that you get to intimidate the child of Aries as a level 3 unclaimed person that just got here. This is Aries' chosen child, the cat. Nat 20,
It's
so?
not gonna happen. Doesn't matter. Just some things you just can't do, period.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
and so just, again, setting the expectation and always defining those and sticking to your guns so that your players know where you
Mm.
stand.
So that leads us kind of into another topic I wanted to go into with you, which was the idea of player agency and like where
Mhm,
do how do you find that balance between giving them freedom versus you got a story you want to tell and it
mhm.
is collaborative but someone's steering the ship
Yep,
and that's you're the
yep,
dungeon master, you're the world and you're reacting to the players, but you also need to present the players with things that they never thought of either,
correct,
otherwise it gets stale and boring.
correct.
So what are some of your kind of guiding principles, I guess you'd say, or best practices for making sure you're hitting that right balance?
So the way I approach DMing is that I am the architect. I have built the house. I have put the rooms where they're going to go. I put the kitchen where it's going to go, and then I put you in a room. You can decorate that room however you want. I don't care if you paint the walls. I don't care if you put bunk beds
Mm,
in. But then when you come out of your room, like your room is yours. And so I'm like, hey, let's obviously within the four walls, I have a very open channel of communication with my players to send me your backstories. Let's discuss it. I ask questions about little pieces. Hey,
mm,
do you mind if I see this, and what if we did this? What do you say? Or hey, I hear there's a potential for an
mm,
NPC. Did you have somebody in your mind? Or especially when the dungeon master's like, would you mind if I did something?
mm.
Players will do it, please do it. They want
Right.
your input because you've given them their liberty to make this beautiful story. And then you pull them in one at a time and you treat them special. All of my players, I want them to feel so special. I want them to
Mm,
feel like this is their story. And I like, okay, so I see what we're doing here. I want this. What if we did this? Or I do like questions of the day, like to like if you're
oh, that's cool.
what's your character's favorite food? What's your character's biggest fear? What is their first and last memory? To really have them start thinking of that character when they see me. It's almost like Pavlov, the Pavlov,
Right.
so
Yeah.
like when DM's coming, I need to be in character. So
Oh,
um,
that's really cool. That's a really
right?
cool idea.
To try and
Mm,
try to get them thinking 5 senses. What's their favorite smell? What's their favorite food?
yeah.
Do they like, do they like the leather? Do they like the fur? So really trying to encourage them to get into their character's mindset, just like I do for my characters. But pulling them into the story, really paying attention to what they're saying and trying to read what they're trying to tell. Where do you want a
Mm,
character to grow? Like, I see that there's a potential for growth here. The character has flaws, and that's beautiful. Where do you want to
mm,
see them at the end of this campaign? And then we help to take that journey together through the story with continuous check-ins, with continuous, hey, I hope that was okay that I changed this about this. So just keeping that communication, but making
mm,
them feel, people want to feel important. They want to feel like what they say matters. So
mm.
just make
Just
it
make
matter.
it matter.
Make it
Yeah,
matter.
I was gonna say, I think I was watching another one of your, videos where you're talking about, um, ways to use the players' backstories, in creative ways. So sometimes, at the beginning of a campaign, they'll give you a backstory,
Mhm,
and it won't be clear how you can actually work it in from the
mhm,
start. You gotta really kind of be patient and kinda wait for the right time for that. Do you have any advice about finding the right time to do it and the right way to do it? So someone like gives you like a 2 3 page backstory,
mhm,
you say this is a cool idea, but now's not the time for that, it's going to come up
mhm,
later. But I want them to know that it's coming, just please
mhm.
trust me, and it'll be here, but it's going to be a while. Like, so
Bread
that's one thing that
breadcrumbs.
I personally run into, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm asking this question.
No, yeah, no. Breadcrumbs is one. Little
Mm,
hints and scenes throughout. Little looks. Little, give me a roll. Oh, I guess you don't remember. Little things like that that keep them like salivating. Like, wait, wait, wait. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Or a name that sounds familiar. But one of my favorite things that I like to do is I will give each of them a piece of information about the world that the other people do not know.
ooh,
And I send it to them in our little secret channel, little private channel, and they wait. And then when I mention, they're like, "Wait a minute, I know what that is." Run to their backstory, and now they're like, "Okay, no, I know this. This is my scene. I'm doing this." So like giving them that little piece of like, you can add this, you can recognize this, you can pull it out. It really, you just watching the excitement on these
Yeah.
players' faces when they're like, "No, wait, no, I know that. You guys don't know that? Oh, I know that. Let me do it." And then they take it and then they run with it. And it's such
Right.
a fun experience. But leading the breadcrumbs, dropping little hints here and there as you even if you don't have a plan for it, still do it. You
Right.
never know what the story starts to weave as you do this. So
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
really cool. Yeah, I do too. That's yeah, that's great. I started getting better at that. It
Mhm,
took me a while to get there. We could go through some concrete examples of that too. I think that might be helpful. So
yeah,
mine is this: is I have a player we're doing Descent into Avernus, and I tweak the beginning. I don't know if you've ever run that, but I tweak
mm-mm,
the beginning of it so that all the players, so the players are all from the city of El Truel, which gets
mhm,
pulled into Avernus. So they have intrinsic motivation to go to go want to save the city. So one of the characters is part of the city guard, and her older sister was one of the guard
mhm,
captains of the guard. They find later on they find her, and so part of the backstory is I want to find my sister.
mhm.
So I just left like her broken spear at a battle site somewhere. Just little stuff like, whoa,
Wait a
wait
minute.
a minute,
Yes,
what's this?
yes,
And it's
yes,
like, so she's looking for her sister, but you're leaving all these hints about,
yes.
it's like, hey, you look like someone. You look like the old captain of the guard from Eltruel. Like those
Yes.
kind of things, like those kind of just
Ugh.
little details. So breadcrumbing is super, super powerful. How much, let me ask you real quick though, how much like notes, how like prolific are your notes? Like do you take notes during, do you take notes before, after all of them? Because you got to keep it all straight in your head. You got a lot of players.
Um, so I have
Uh-oh.
I have a Milanote. So I use Milanotes. I know there's a lot of different note taking tools out there, but I love
Yeah.
Milanotes. And I separate them by campaign. And what I do is the base campaign is the same. So I have,
Mm,
lore, I have NPCs and stuff that all of the campaigns share. And then each campaign has something separate. And within that, I have a basic storyline where I put them out in chapters and they're all titled. And then within that are like the NPCs and the checklist of things we need to go through and possible lore. And then it just grows. It just like the note taking is so grotesque. Each of my players, I have their character sheets on there. I have them send me Pinterest boards. I have them send me their Spotify playlist, and I can link that all there. So when I'm looking at their stuff and I'm writing intros, all
mm,
of my when I start every single campaign, everybody gets a unique intro, and that's where we learn a little bit about them and they get to introduce themselves, and then we give them a reason and motivation, like, okay, you guys are just in a tavern, what do you do? Like, what? That's
right.
weird, don't do
Right.
that.
I don't, yeah.
Like it makes it
Yeah.
hard, like for me. And okay, that might not be nice to say, but for me as a new player, being thrown into a situation I've never role played before, that was so difficult.
Right.
But easing my people in, like, okay, Jen, you're walking through this door, and as you open it, the smell of the smoke from the kitchen hits you, and you're taken back. And then you talk about the fire and the screams, and then you being laid on the ground and then waking up to a pile of ashes, and now you're here, and so is he. And I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh, I'm in here, I'm gonna look." So now they're like, I know why I'm mad. I'm mad right now. I don't know what
Right.
happened. Who I'm mad though, and I'm gonna and so setting up those
That's great.
opportunities, I'll have their stuff up. So I'm like, okay, what could I see them doing in this moment to help guide them to this next step? So I have very in-depth character intro. I have their backstories plus the notes that I've added. I have little
Mm.
things like trauma, question mark, hurt them, blah, so it's quite elaborate and quite chaotic. But I spent I spent a lot more time than I probably should. At least on my homebrews modules, they're laid out, but my
Yeah,
homebrews
that's cool.
definitely for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you get like one of the things I think I can't remember if we're talking before recording or after we are recording, but like you did say it's during the right level of preparation. So you
Yes.
can over prepare, you can under prepare. How do you know when you're hitting the balance?
So over preparing is setting in stone that this is this, this, and that, and leaving no room for the unknown and flexibility. That's why I was
Mm,
caught off guard. with my
Mm.
first couple of campaigns. Like, no, I have the storyline here. And the player's like, well, I want to go
Mm.
to this door. And I'm like, I don't know what's in that door. Why is there
Yeah.
even a door there? And so, um, becoming more broad and generalized, and one of the best ways that I can think about doing that is, how do you I want this piece of lore to get out, but I don't know who the players are going to ask. I don't know if they're going to go
Mm.
to a library or if they're going to, so I'll put it there, like, here, like the guy's name was Cal. Who knows that? And I'll put a list of people potentially, like what level commoners might know that. A bar, bar patrons, person on the street. Bigger stuff has to be more important people. You have to be more intentional,
Mm.
like who you go to find that. You have to ask these questions. And so making it broad enough that I can keep up with the ever changing, ideas of my players, but still having structure and boundaries of like, why would this random person know all of this about you? That's
Mm.
crazy. So figuring out who knows what and how, and then setting the DCs. That way I can be more flexible and go with the flow, as opposed to, no, you have to talk to this person and then you have to go here and talk to, what
Mm.
if they've never seen this person? What if their
Right.
actions, what if they didn't roll high enough? What do you do? So having the story set, it's like a gentle railroad. A
Mm.
gentle, keeping you on track
That's right.
mostly.
Yeah, it's a bit
Most
like surfing. It's like surfing. You just like
Yes,
you gotta ride the wave. Don't do too much, don't too little.
exactly,
Just let it happen. Just let it
exactly,
happen. Yeah.
exactly,
Mm.
and that's why I like my home brews because I wrote that story. I know what's gonna happen. I know the ending.
Mm.
And so I feel much more comfortable improving or making up stuff on the spot or being able to incorporate it later as opposed to modules where I
Mm.
am terrified that if I miss something, it's going to ruin the experience because then it won't make sense to my players. And I
Mm.
hate having that anxiety. So I'm much more, I think, I don't know if I've ever met anybody who prefers a module over a homebrew.
I
Like,
always prefer home brews, but I
see?
just the reason I went back is because I was just like, "Wait a second. I've been playing, I've been playing like
Mhm.
40 years. Not once. I don't, this is just between you and me
Yeah.
and all the viewers.
Yeah.
I've never played Curse of Strahd. Not
I
once.
haven't either. I'm trying to. I'm trying to play it. I want to play. I
It's
love
like
these. I love these, but
yeah, they're not, modules aren't bad, but like I said, even in the one I'm running now, the Descent
mhm,
into Avernus, which is also, Forgotten Realms, came out, I think, after Curse of Strahd.
mhm.
And the first thing I did was change it. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's nice to have the maps ready to go. It's nice to have like the broad strokes, but
Mhm.
you're always going to have to modify it for your players because,
You
no
do.
group is ever going to be the same.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you're also a player these days too, right? You do
Oh my
both.
gosh. Yes.
And so the first thing is you have recently you've got this series about ideas, how do you generate really novel ways of generating character ideas.
Yes.
And I think these are great because I still like, I have new players who are completely new to the game. They don't know what level of character depth that they can even get into. And so I thought some of your tools are great ways of doing that just to get them in the right
Yeah.
headspace. So let's say there's a couple that are at the top of my mind. What's at the top of yours?
As far as like giving them ideas or like helping them develop.
The astrology. Like the
Oh, it's so good.
the
So
astro-
I I am a huge crossover person anytime I can mix and match things. And you'll see that a lot come up. But the astrology, it's something that is something I love. I am a practicing witch. I'm a pagan, and so astrology is huge and it's something that I'm learning. I'm finally now in my late 30s is when I'm coming back to me and like not caring about being cool and like putting all of
right.
my nerdiness to the side. And so I'm coming back and I'm going in hard. And so um I am a sorter. I put everybody in categories. I know what houses you're in. I know what cabin all of these kind of an obsession. So I saw an opportunity there, and we were going, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what this stuff is." And then I realized it took a second. I was like, "Wait a minute. We have a rising sign, a sun sign, and a moon sign, your big 3.
Right.
That is a background, a species, and a class. And when you put them together, the subclass just jumps out at you." And
Right.
so I started making it and people started resonating with it. They're like, "I want to know mine." People want things that are
Yeah.
personal to them.
Right.
Like, it goes, I feel like we're like jumping around, but I feel like most people play in some way, shape, or form a self-insert of some facet of you goes into your character,
Yeah,
and so
there's no way you can't be. You are that
right?
character is also you.
Thank
It's just you
you.
from another point of view, you
Correct,
know?
correct.
Yeah.
I my characters end up being, either time periods in my life or
Mm,
people I was during certain times, and I play that out, and you can see that, but I find that people like things that are about them.
mm,
And so if I tell you that your unique birth chart can equal a unique D&D character, people are like, "I want that." And people
yeah,
have jumped on it, and I think it's so cool. I love it. And then I'm like, I need your backstory. This
right.
sounds hella cool the way it came out with. I need to know more about this character. Like let me know. And I've had some people make videos for me and show me and just I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then and thank you by the way again for doing
Yes.
mine. I'm totally psyched to play that maybe in Curse of Strahd.
Oh
Actually,
my
if we get
gosh,
the
that
chance,
would
that
be
would be really cool. Is
legit.
take that your idea, get it into Curse of Strahd. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
I'm Aquarius, Sagittarius Aquarius, and so you ended up calling me Warforged. Makes total sense. Wizard, total sense.
Mhm.
Spelljammer, Astral Drifter,
Yeah.
and transmutation. That's I'm all about that. I'm all
It's
about change.
that's what I'm saying, like
It's
the
perfect.
Aquariuses think outside the box, right? They
Mm,
are very, like, not I don't wanna say technology based, but always ahead of their time, right? They're always
mm,
seeing things so for that, being a Warforged just made sense. Like, of
mm,
course, you are a robotic creature, and then wizard, right? Like, I
mm,
feel like, these are the people that are wanting the knowledge and wanting to learn and learn and learn. And then Sagittarius are the adventurers. They're the
mm.
travelers, they're the explorers. And so I'm like, okay, Warforged. I mean, hello, like traveling through, I was like, I need to go spelljammer with this. And
Yeah.
then when you put all of that together, you're just like, obviously, like like, why would this character care about divination? But transmutation, there could be some potential here. And so it just
Mm.
jumps out at you. And character creation, I think, is it's probably gotta be my favorite thing about
Yeah.
the campaigns, like
It's
making a
kind of
character to fit.
yeah, and I think, I was telling you before that, I had been a forever GM for decades,
Mhm.
and I finally this year got back into actually being a player again, and that was one of the most exciting things is just thinking up the character.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
it's just like
so
that's the
fun.
exciting thing, and then you get to the payoff comes later, but just there's that anticipation of like, what could this, new
Yes.
person be
Yes.
in this world? Um, do you have any so okay, so that was one, and then the other
Mhm.
one you had was the 7 deadly
7 deadly
sins. It's like,
sins.
what's your operating, what's your operative, sin?
Yes.
And, obviously mine is wrath, but
Oh,
like
so good.
like
Listen, I we can talk about that one too. Don't get me wrong. Um, that one actually came from an actual play that is we're going to be doing. It's a shorter actual play, and the premise is that we are all demons or devils from hell, the
Mm,
different layers of hell, and in my mind, even though there's 9 layers, I was like, "Well, 7 deadly sins, obviously, because
mm,
that math matches up, right?" No, it doesn't. But, I ended up picking and I know nothing about D&D lore. I'm so
mm.
sorry. I don't know
I don't
any actual lore.
it can be anything you want, like, that's the great don't worry about
I
that. It
had
does
no
like
idea.
you don't need to know who
It's
Asmodeus is, like, don't
it's
worry about that.
fine,
It's
whatever.
whatever,
But I
whatever.
went and kind of learned a little bit about this one, and, I wanted to I was like, "Okay, what class haven't I played yet?" Because I'm a cleric main. But I've been branching out. I've had great opportunities to play in so many games, and I was like, "I need to play every class, obviously. I'm a collector. I need all of them."
Mm,
And so I was like, "Well, drunken monk obviously is gluttony."
right,
And then we were looking, I
makes
was like,
sense.
"Okay, 3rd level." But then I was like, "That's too on the nose."
Mm,
Okay, cool. Like you overindulge drunken, but now what do we okay, so tiefling. Okay, but now what? And then it hit me, and I was like, gluttony isn't just the overconsumption, it's excess, it's
right,
muchness, it's too much, it's wastefulness. And I
right.
instantly thought, Daddy's girl.
There you
I
go.
I I am a princess of hell in gluttony where I get whatever I want. I have this, like 5 foot long haired like trail that
Right.
like servants have to carry, and then there's feasts of food standing before me, and I take a grape.
It's all yeah.
It and so from there, I mean, obviously, so I did gluttony, but what about the others? So
Right.
now I had to go through and now I have to do all 7 deadly sins, and so I just like taking concepts like that and using them to see how that could be incorporated into a campaign because now once you've explored so much of yourself and maybe you're tired of that, you wanna go a different route, you're like,
Mm,
"Okay, let me try something else. I need a different inspiration," and ultimately, it always comes back to, "Okay, maybe this was me, whatever. I don't wanna
yeah.
talk about it." But it's always fun to find new ideas, and I love taking inspiration from the things that already exist. I'm not an artistically minded person. I can't see a blank canvas and paint something, but I
Mm,
can see, like, a room set up and want to move the room around.
mm,
I just can't fill it by myself, and so
mm,
taking inspiration, putting my spin on it, I think is so fun.
mm. How, what makes a good character? How do you know if you've got a good character or not? A good concept? Like you know, you kind of turn things over in your head
Mhm,
for a while. It's like, oh, this could be cool. It's like, you know, anything. Like if you're a musician, you've got kind of
mhm,
pieces of a song, like you've got a chord progression or whatever. If you're a
yeah,
painter, you kind of paint a little bit and like, ah, I don't like that color
mhm,
scheme. Same thing with creating characters. It is a creative process, and there's like how like you've probably got a few running around in your head, and then
mhm,
you're like, you know what, that's the one. How
mhm.
do you know? Like, what are some of the thing? What are some of the hints that you're on the right track?
The For me personally, resonating with that character. Do I feel an emotional connection to that person? Can I see through their lenses? Do I feel excited to play them and explore them and figure out what their limits are? Because there's just some like I've done a couple of guest appearances and
Mm,
the DM, the GMs have very specific intent for my character in that moment, whether it's delivering a message or it's an emotional response, but it's not my character.
mm,
And so I play them. Right, I play them and we deliver and we have such a great time. I can cry on cue, so, I've had a lot of emotional moments, for other casts that I've been able to do with characters that I don't resonate with, and then
mm,
when I'm done with them, I don't think about them anymore.
mm,
There are some that I still think about. There are
mm.
some right now
Yeah.
thinking of their journey and thinking of their life, even a moment can have me feel that emotion, and so I think
Mm,
it's for me, everybody's different. Some people, maximize the way that they play and, being the heavy hitter and being the hero. For me, it's do I feel an attachment to this
mm,
character? And if I do, this is a good character.
mm. Very good.
Yeah.
So, how do you coax that out of a new player?
Oh,
Who's just
so good.
someone who's come to the come to the table for the first time, and like, I think I was saying this too before, is like a lot of players when they're brand new, they're even totally new to the concept of D&D, but they like, "Hey, this sounds kinda cool, I wanna try it." They get to the table, they don't know where they can take the character. They don't
Mhm.
know what they can do with it. They're
Mhm.
busy trying to like, well, what does this character sheet? What does strength
Yeah.
mean? What does dexterity mean? I don't know. And now I've got to think about this like, who am I? Like
Yeah.
existential angst
Yeah.
question, right? Like, how do you? So but you got to, they're all intertwined. You got to get them
Mhm.
all working on all thrusters. How do you coax out just a new character backstory without maybe being too overwhelming with it? How do you get them thinking in the right how do you put them in the right frame of mind, I guess is my
I
question.
I love that. I give them every single person who's like, "Hey, it's my first time playing D&D." We do an individual session 0. We do one with a group, we talk about the parameters and things, but then I do a one-on-one. And I even do
Mm,
this with veteran players. I've had to go back. I've had players who didn't understand their character. And so I'm like, "Let's do a one-on-one role play." And we'll pick
mm,
a moment in time. I let them pick because it's more telling than they think. And then we'll go through it, and I'll walk them through it, and I'll guide them through it, or if they're still having a difficult time understanding, I'm like I'll give them people want your perspective. I'm like, "This is how I see them. Listen, they've traveled the world. They've seen these things. This wouldn't be so strange for them. This is why I can understand this motivation. What do you think?" And I
mm,
think by kind of presenting an abstract thought and then opening up for them, they'll like, "Wait a minute, I didn't think about that." No, I could totally see that, or you know what? Actually, no, I don't think they would. And so by having that one-on-one, it takes the pressure off of trying to immediately jump into role play with people you don't know, which is, scary for everyone.
Mm,
especially as a brand new person. But we'll take the time to talk about the mechanics of the game and the actual rules of the game. And then
mm,
once we're done with that, we put that to the side. Tell me about your character. What do they look like?
mm,
What are their I ask some of these questions. Okay, how do they feel about their dad not being there? Do they still Are they still looking for him? Mhm, mhm. What about, how do they feel about this situation? Or, um and then we'll do a role play. I will role play with them,
mm,
and sometimes they won't even realize it's happening. So I'm like, "Okay, well, then this person sat down in front of you and says, 'Hey, what are you doing here?' What do you say to them?'" And they'll be like, "Well, I think my character would, like, be confused." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what would you say?"
mm.
And then you'll know you've got them when they switch from the 3rd person to the 1st person,
There you go.
right? They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's the
"Well,
one.
no, I don't know who you are. What are you doing?" "Oh, wait, are we role playing?" "We're role
Yeah.
playing." And so it takes the edge off, and it gives them an opportunity to be that center, but to express ideas in you have to make a safe space for them. You have to make them feel
Mm,
comfortable. Nobody's gonna open up, and I've been so lucky with 2, brand new players that have come to my table, and I got to do this with them, and everybody enjoyed it.
that's great. Yeah, that's really cool. So another thing, so we've got some time left here,
Mhm,
and so you're going to have new players,
mhm.
and a lot of them are, they're going to be from different backgrounds, and they should be from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
You should seek out other people. So, recently on
Yes.
social media, you're getting into, cultural appreciation versus appropriation.
Yeah.
It's interesting you brought it up because about a month ago, I did have a new player who was I had a background that was problematic,
Mhm.
and they didn't understand that it was problematic.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I had to, we basically agreed not to like, it was just like you were saying before, just they're not going to come to the table
Yeah.
because we couldn't meet eye to eye. And I made my case about why I thought so and why it wasn't appropriate. And then, that was that.
Mhm.
And it's probably better that they're not at the table.
Yeah.
So, but there's people who genuinely have a background and they want to kind of see that, like we were saying,
Mhm.
you're always a part of yourself is on that table
Yeah.
as part of the character, and there's people that would like to bring that in, but you might not have the same background. So how, as a dungeon master, do you make sure that you are allowing them to explore that desire, that part of their background, even when you're not from the same background?
Love that. I'm gonna answer this from a player's perspective because I just ran into this. So
Mm.
another actual play that we're gonna start recording here soon is being run by the wonderful Daniel the DM. Love him, incredible, and he has
Oh,
written
yeah,
a
yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 I
Listen,
follow him.
listen. I work with some cool people.
Yeah, you do.
So lucky to be included in these circles. My gluttony character is from So You Want to Be a DM.
Right.
Their
Yeah,
podcast
he's
and
great too. Yeah, they're great too. Yeah.
they're spectacular, and I've worked with them before, and that's where that one came from. But Daniel has created this beautiful world. He's spent so much time writing it for years, and it takes a lot of African and indigenous and South and East Asian concepts, and he has thoroughly done the research, but then adapted it. It's all inspired. It's not
Mm,
taking and inserting. It's inspired. And so my character is from a specific place, and knowing that I with me being Korean, and that's something that I inject into all of my characters. You can see all of them have that. Um, he allowed me to tell him what village my character within the world he created. He's like, "Tell me
mm,
about your village. Tell me about their customs," because he knows what I was trying to go for. He knows that I know my customs and my courtesies much better than he does, and so that I would approach it with respect.
mm,
And so allowing your player to do something like that
mm,
helps to bring that in a way that's respectful and that you don't necessarily need to know about.
mm,
Right? If it's something you don't know about, but this person clearly does, then you let them do it.
mm,
Um, I had opposite situation. One of my home brews is like an all casting school, and I made it specifically non secular because there's
mm,
Wiccan, there's pagan, there's hoodoo, there's a lot of things, but there are closed practices. And one of my players wanted to blend hoodoo with his. Now I know from the circles that I run in, that's close practice. I cannot speak on that. I
Mm,
not mine.
mm,
But because I know it's closed, I asked him what connection he had to it. And he
mm,
didn't have one strong enough that he knew. And he's like, I'm going to learn. I'm like, this is not a place for that. We
mm,
can't do that.
mm,
I would love to, and I offer different solutions. I was like, okay, why don't we go to, let's pick something that I do know, that I know is safe and that I can help incorporate. So we decided, instead of doing the entire practice of hoodoo, that this
mm,
person would be interested in tarot reading. Offered an alternative, but explained why, and explained why that wasn't the case. And so again, just having that clear, open line of communication, to explain why, and taking the right tone, and making sure that you're trying to be understood instead of just heard.
mm.
So it's just a collaborative effort. And if somebody can't agree about certain things, that's so unfortunate, but there are so many tables in this community because we're
Right,
growing, like we were talking about. There's a
right.
table for you. It's just not here because I don't think that aligns with my values and morals.
Yeah. Yeah, there is always whatever play style you have, whatever a part of you that you want to explore, there is a table. And it's like, and so because we can all play online now, we can play with anyone, anywhere in the world at any
Mhm,
time. There is someone who will fit,
mhm,
there's always someone who can fit.
exactly.
Um, so I don't think we're gonna have time to get into your actual plays, but I would like you to come back again and talk about your
Yes.
actual
Oh
plays,
my gosh,
because
anytime.
that's a whole other aspect of the, of the phenomenon
Yeah.
that is tabletop role playing games. That is a new thing, and
Mhm.
that really sort of kicked off about 10 years ago, and now it is huge,
Wildfire.
wild, and it's so cool. And there's people that watch actual plays that have never played. Like they just watch the
Yes.
actual plays,
Yes.
which is amazing to me. I can't, it's hard for me to get my head around that. Or
Yeah.
just the fact that we have celebrity dungeon masters is just still a little bit mind blowing to me.
Oh,
Um,
so good. So good.
so maybe we can get into that. Please come back, and like
Yeah.
once
Anytime.
you've got some actual plays, if there's someone you'd like specifically like to talk about. But I would like to know, like, how did you get into it, and do you have any general advice for people who are playing right now that would
Mhm,
like to give it a shot? Like, do you
mhm.
just how do you get it to, because there's a lot of logistical behind the scenes stuff that seem really difficult, and if you and your table don't know how to do it, like,
Right.
where would they even get started?
So, for me, the way I got started, I answered a casting call. I saw a shout out on TikTok. I reached out, and I do know why I was cast. I am not, I know why I was selected amongst everybody else, and um, I think that that was a great opportunity for me to showcase like what I can do, and how what I can bring to the community. But answer casting calls. There's so many out there. People are always looking. People are trying to start. And if you don't have one, make your own. So I
Mm,
started originally answering a call on another channel that fell through. I had my two other castmates. We made our own. So Untold Archives is our brainchild. We started it. We built the fan base. We come up with the campaigns, and everybody has their own little jobs. Obviously, having a tech person is great, but as long as somebody can understand how to stream on whatever platform you're using, like using an OBS system or Streamlabs, a lot of things nowadays are very simple to use, and there's tutorials out there. You
mm,
know, I started with just my phone, like just recording from my phone. Um,
mm.
and so
Oh, wow.
there's so many out there, and some people pre-record so they can go through and edit and then they post them later. Some people stream live like we do, and then do clips and then post recordings later. So it's just a if there's a will, there's a way. Just do it. If you want to, just do it.
There you
If you
go.
can't find a call, make your own.
How much do you like pre-planning do you do? Like, you're live streaming, which is brave. And like, how much do you, like, you're the player, you're one of the
Yeah.
players. Do
Yeah.
you do you know what's coming up? Like, are you getting surprised, or is there, like, we're going to agree on the narrative arc? Like, how much how
Yeah.
much, you know what I mean?
There is a lot more that goes into when you're doing an actual play. There's a little bit more metagaming, but we don't know what happens. Like the
Mm,
one that we're doing right now, I the DM Ghost did not tell me at all that my character was a born avatar for a bound goddess who selected me and would be going into my
right.
body, right? And it was such a crazy moment because at I some of my characters I don't build to be emotional. Some of them I just
Mm,
build to be whatever they are, but he saw something and
mm,
he poked it. And it caused such an emotional response because I was in character at the time and I
mm,
was giving up my freedom again. I was somebody
mm,
else's pawn. I would never be my own. And he saw that. And
mm,
that's because of how much conversation we had about my character that I didn't even have to implicitly say it. He saw it and fit it into his world. And so, when it comes to relationships, the one I'm doing with Daniel, I was married to one of the other players in there, and now we have to go like our whirlwind romance. We've written each other love letters, like we shared, like, and we're completely platonic. But we
right.
needed to get into our character's headspace to have because now we're broken up. So I need to be
Right.
mad at this person's character.
Even though you're not really mad at them.
Right, but I had to build up that backstory, and so there's a lot more metagaming, there's a lot more planning, but as far as outcome, nope, have no idea
Yeah,
what's gonna happen, we don't
that's
know,
good.
so some of the emotion you see is genuine emotion, right?
That's cool, and that's what makes it unique. It's not a TV show.
Right.
It's not a movie, and if you start thinking about it that way, I don't
Mhm.
think it's gonna come off as good and real and raw,
Right.
and that's what makes it compelling. It's a bit like watching sports, is like you kinda know what the rules are, but you don't know who's gonna win.
Correct.
You don't know what the outcome is gonna be.
Correct.
And actually, now I'm thinking about it, just like a sport, if you're on a team, you need to play with each other for a long time before you go pro, because like that, it's just exactly what you said. You kind of know and trust each other because you
Yeah.
already have been playing together for a while.
Correct.
And it's the same thing with the music too. In a band, like you gotta
Mhm.
rehearse together for a long time before you're ready for the stage, because
You do.
you don't know what that other person's. You got to run with it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good. So
Yeah.
yeah, please please let's get in. I would love to have
Yeah.
a just actual play dedicated
You got it.
episode. So just go through all the process,
Mhm.
and yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, if there's any final words, but
Final words, I would say that this is such an experience that if this isn't even your thing, give try a game. Try one game to see if you like it, and there's something out there for everyone. And this has been such a huge part of my life that I didn't think would ever be. And I've
mhm,
met so many amazing people. I'm doing so much amazing, incredible things. Like we're talking about D&D right now. Like what is
right,
happening?
right.
And so I'm so forever grateful. And just play your characters and really take care of each other, take care of your DM, take care of your players, and just have fun. Just have fun.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, and looking forward to talking with you again.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Take care.